Hello everyone, my roll number is 8 and today's topic of discussion is production of glutamic acid. Glutamic acid is a non-essential amino acid, means it is synthesized in the body. It plays a predominant role in the amino acid metabolism. Also, it is quite underrated dietary amino acids found in most high protein foods. It also acts as a precursor for the synthesis of inhibitory neurotransmitter GABA. History of glutamic acid. So its history takes us back to 1866 when it was first discovered and identified by a German chemist Karl Heinrich Riethausen. He treated wheat gluten with sulfuric acid and found glutamic acid and named it after gluten. In 1908, when Dr. Ikeda, a Japanese chemist, isolated glutamic acid from kelp, a marine alga, after acid hydrolysis and fractionation. Then in 1950s, fermentation technology was established and its commercial production began at a large scale. About 90% of glutamic acid is made through commercial production, microbial fermentation. Remaining 10% is made through chemical methods. Its uses are various. As in food, it is used as a nutritional supplement in processed foods and in canned foods. In beverages, it is used as a flavoring enhancer. In healthcare and personal care products, it is primarily used as a conditioning agent for skin and hair. In agricultural, animal feed and poultry, it is used as a nutritional supplement. It also has various disadvantages, as in high doses it causes sweating and also it causes high blood pressure. Also in chocolates, because there is presence of sugar and amino group, it attracts bacterial growth and it causes tooth decay and fattening.
Hello everyone, I am roll number 1 and I'll be putting some light on the biosynthesis of glutamic acid. As you all can see in the figure, the glucose is broken down by the glutamic acid producing microorganisms through the glycolysis pathway. The end product of this glycolysis pathway is pyruvate, and this pyruvate is then channeled into the tricarboxylic acid cycle. The key precursor of glutamic acid is alpha-ketoglutric acid, which is converted into levoglutamic acid through reductive amination, which means that there is an addition of free ammonium ions. This step also requires energy and is thus carried out by glutamate dehydrogenase using NADP. For achieving maximum yield of glutamic acid, this whole process needs to be regulated. So there should be high capability for the supply of the tricarboxylic acid cycle metabolites. Corynebacterium glutamicum has enzymes like phosphophenol carboxylase and pyruvate carboxylase to efficiently produce oxaloacetic acid while synthesis of glutamic acid occurs. Another key enzyme that can facilitate optimal production of glutamic acid is alpha-ketoglutarate dehydrogenase of the tricarboxylic acid cycle. Its activity has to be substantially low for the good synthesis of glutamic acid, as in case of Corynebacterium glutamicum. Furthermore, exposing the cells to antibiotics and surfactants like 2-in-40 reduces the activity of alpha-keto dehydrogenase while glutamate dehydrogenase activity remains unaltered. By this way, the formation of alpha-ketoglutarate to succinyl coenzyme A via the TCA cycle can be minimized, while formation of alpha-ketoglutarate to glutamic acid is made up to maximum potential.
I am roll number 58. I'm going to discuss about the topic the industrial method for the production of a glutamic acid. It is classified into hydrolysis of a protein compound, and the second one is a microbiological fermentation, and the third one is the synthetic method. Now the microbiological fermentation is further classified into three types. The first one is a batch fermentation, the second one is a fed batch fermentation, and the third one is the continuous fermentation. Batch fermentation. It is widely used in the production of most of the amino acid. It is a closed culture system which contain an initial limited amount of a nutrient, and a short adaptation time is required for the growth phases like lag and log phase. In this the nutrient become limited and they enter the stationary phase in which the growth has ceased. In glutamic acid fermentation, the production of a acid normally start in a log phase and continues through the stationary phase. And the fermentation time should be as short as possible with the high yield of the amino acid at the end. And the fermentation should not be continued in the late stationary phase that result in the contaminant product. In this, the lag phase can be shortened by using a higher concentration of seed inoculum, and the seed is produced by growing the production strain in the flask and a small fermenters. And the next one is fed batch fermentation. In fed batch fermentation, the fresh growth medium is added continuously during the fermentation, and no growth medium is moved until the process. So in this way, the volume of the culture is increases with the time, and the residual substrate concentration may be maintained at a very low level. And this may result in the removal of a catabolite repressive effect and the avoidance of a toxic effect of a medium components. During the process, the oxygen level is balanced. The feed rate of the carbon source can be used to regulate the cell growth rate and the oxygen limitation, especially when the oxygen demand is high in the exponential growth phase. And the third one is continuous fermentation. In the continuous fermentation, the fresh growth medium is added continuously during the fermentation, but there is also continuous removal of an equal volume of a medium containing suspended microorganism. Continuous fermentation is an open system in which the sterile nutrient solution is added to the bioreactor continuously, and an equivalent amount of a converted nutrient solution with a microorganism is simultaneously removed from the system. Thank you. Now, furthermore, Nikita will continue.
My roll number is 45 and my topic for today's presentation is industrial production of glutamic acid. Natural products such as sugarcane is used, then the sugarcane is squeezed to make molasses. The heat sterilized raw material and other nutrients are put in the tank of the fermenter. The microorganism, that is Corynebacterium glutamicum, producing glutamic acid is added to the fermentation broth. The microorganism react with sugar to produce glutamic acid. Then the fermentation broth is acidified and the glutamic acid is crystallized. So now if we look at the steps involved in this process, we take HCl, starch, molasses, culture seed, chemical, urea. Urea is considered as nitrogen source. When we hydrolyze the acid, our first step is neutralization. When we hydrolyze the acid, pH of solution decreases to great extent. So we adjust the pH, then we do sterilization and treat it with main culture media. Then we mix together and sterilize. Taken to the fermenter, then pH control as per the requirement of the process. After fermentation is over, up to 36 to 48 hours, we get fermentation broth. Then concentration via vacuum. Next step is put acid for acid hydrolysis and humus formation take place. Separate out by filtration and cool and crystallize the filtrate. Separation take place and two types of material, glutamic acid and HCl. Like protein hydrolysis, removal of iron using sodium sulfide and neutralization at pH 3.2. Separation take place and through this process we get glutamic acid. Topic is separation and purification. Specific method is required to separate and purify the amino acid, which includes centrifugation, filtration, crystallization, ion exchange, electrodialysis, solvent extraction, decolorization and evaporation. We have separation and purification of glutamic acid. The glutamic acid crystal is added to the sodium hydroxide solution and converted into MSG, that is monosodium glutamate. MSG is more soluble in water, less likely absorb moisture and has strong umami taste. The MSG is cleaned by using active carbon which has many micro holes on their surface. The clean MSG solution is concentrated by heating and the monosodium glutamate crystal is formed. The crystal produced are dried with a hot air in a closed system. Then the crystal is packed in the packaging and ready to be sold.
My roll number is 94 and I am going to explain hydrolysis of protein compounds. Acid hydrolysis of protein-rich compounds. The concentrated syrup liquid is cooled down to -5 degrees Celsius for several hours. During the process of cooling, the hydrochloric acid salt of L-glutamic acid crystallizes. The crystalline glutamic acid is separated from its mother liquor by mechanical means. The glutamic acid hydrolide is dissolved in hot water. Iron is removed from the salt solution and the solution is then decolorized with sodium sulfide and active charcoal. Then there is a flowchart which explains the hydrolysis of protein compounds, in which from a raw material like gluten, soybean, cake or casein, we extract our glutamic acid by many steps. The hydrolysis of protein compounds, in which the acid hydrolysis of protein rich compound is the raw material used in this process, are those protein rich in glutamic acid such as gluten, soybean cake or casein. The raw material is hydrolyzed by concentrated hydrochloric acid in kerosene resistant kettle, either glass or rub-linked, for 5 to 6 hours at 110 degrees Celsius. When the protein is completely hydrolyzed, the charcoal-like humus is removed by filtration. The filtered is then concentrated in vacuum. Finally, the crystalline glutamic acid is obtained by adjusting the pH of the solution to this electric point, pH 3.2, and the separating the precipitates.